Street Fighter 2 and Killer Instincts are two of my favorite Super Nintendo games. I owned both of them as a kid and still have them, and I still enjoy playing them. Aside from being tournament fighters, they both have something in common. They both have a boxing character, Balrog, as he's called in my copy of the game, and TJ Combo. Naturally, I always wanted to know which character would win in a fight. I grew up calling this character Balrog, but his real name is basically Mike Bison. His birthday is September 4th, 1968, which would put him at 22 years old when Street Fighter 2 was released February of 1991. He's 6'6" and 225 pounds, which is basically the ideal age and size of a boxer. Balrog is basically a cheating boxer type. He's arrogant and loves money. He was a professional boxer. He's said to have cheated and accidentally killed one opponent. He now works for M. Bison, the character he switched names with in the American release, in a crime organization called the Shadaloo. He's kind of a weird character because he only uses punches. His basic moveset, which are moves that aren't special moves, are fast yet powerful. Theoretically, he doesn't even need to use very many special moves if he's used carefully. He doesn't seem to have very many special moves. He has several types of dash attacks, mostly just attempts to have low and anti-air attacks. There's the Gigaton blow, basically a dash punch that is even more powerful. He has the Buffalo Head, an uppercut pretty much. Balrog also has combo moves, specifically a move called the Crazy Buffalo, a series of 5 punches you do not want to get caught in. The Violent Buffalo, also a series of 5 punches which ends with an uppercut. If he gets close to an opponent, he can perform a Dirty Bull, where he grabs the opponent's head, headbutts it, stomps on their foot, being the closest he ever comes to a kick, and punches them hard. Outside of the video games, Balrog has appeared in movies and cartoons. I assume not a lot of these appearances are canon or matter whatsoever. For example, in 1994, the live-action movie, he is depicted as Chun-Li's cameraman. In the other live-action Street Fighter movie, called Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li, he is shown working for Bison and doesn't do anything noteworthy. In Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, he is shown losing a fight to E. Honda, the sumo wrestler character. In the 1995 cartoon series, he is suddenly a scientist.
Excellent! Begin your work, Balrog.
Time to get paid.
Well done, Balrog.
In the anime series, Balrog fights Cammy and Fei Long and loses. As the first boss you encounter in the game, Balrog always requires strategy to defeat. He basically exists to filter out players attempting to blow through the game by button mashing.
TJ Combo is the boxing character from Killer Instincts. His backstory is that he was the heavyweight champion for 5 straight years. He's also 25 years old in the first game, which means it's likely he won the heavyweight champion every year in his professional career. He was disqualified, however, as well as humiliated when word got out that he got cybernetic enhancements on his arms. Or, as far as I've been able to tell, titanium plates put in his wrists. I think every game has a different version of what he did to his arms, but basically he did something to his arms. He stands at 6'1" and is 220 pounds, which means he's 5 pounds lighter than Balrog. He also has that dirty boxer style of fighting, being a very brutal fighter, and uses moves which would otherwise be illegal in official boxing, headbutts, knee strikes, and kicks. He's not the mightiest character in the Killer Instinct story, but he is clearly on par with the rest of the playable characters. As far as the official story goes, in the first Killer Instincts game he was targeting Riptor, the Raptor character, as well as seeking to restore his reputation as the champion and take down Ultratech. In the second Killer Instincts game, Riptor is mysteriously gone, and Combo wore an eye patch, which is from an injury he sustained from his fight against Riptor. So it's implied he killed Riptor. In the newest 2013 game, Riptor is alive and well, but that game is more or less the entire story done all over again from the beginning. As Combo's name implies, he relies on combos, a series of attacks done in succession, dealing out hits without giving the opponent a chance to hit back. This is basically the whole game's mechanic in Killer Instincts. You basically win by getting more combos in than your opponent. Trust me, it's extremely hard to beat the game trying to pound out normal punches and kicks. Combo has an incredible list of moves. At least it seems like that, since the game has basically given everything he does a name. Here's a list of moves from the first Killer Instincts game. The most useful, in my opinion, is his dash punch and cartwheel combos. Like Balrog, he does a charging move that ends with a hard punch being thrown. The cartwheel attack is mostly a great move to dodge the opponent's attack and counter with a succession of hits. He has 3 end specials and 2 no mercies, basically fatalities in Mortal Kombat terms. He also has humiliation, which is basically a joke finishing move like a babality or something. Here's his moveset from Killer Instincts 2 and Killer Instincts 2013. He is further developed with the intention of making his combos more customizable and sticking to his style from the first game. I'm going to stick with how these two characters were back in the day, because to me this is a nostalgic debate. There's no doubt that these characters have been deepened nowadays, and I'll use modern information on them to contribute to the debate, but for me, I've simply always wanted to see what it would look like if these two fought in their original 16-bit incarnations. Okay, so why did Combo win? Well, there's lots of reasons I can think of, and I simply don't know where to start. Most people who think Balrog would win usually cite that Balrog is bigger and heavier, which would typically matter in boxing. Balrog certainly towers over Combo, being 5 inches taller, but he's only 5 pounds heavier. Something I happen to know in wrestling is that if you're wrestling someone who is shorter than you but weighs about as much as you, then chances are you're in trouble, because that means that that person has more muscle to compensate. So if Combo is only 5 pounds lighter than Balrog, then chances are he technically has more tone. Since this would have been the first time these two fought, they both would have been successful in landing hits on their opponent since they've never seen them before. Balrog would get a combo win, but he doesn't have the ability to switch it around that much after that. Combo would land his charge attacks too, and he simply has more variety. The Charging Bull and Violent Bull all depend on Balrog landing identical movesets. They all basically look the same. And I think Combo clearly has the ability to counter pretty much all of Balrog's special moves, especially with his cartwheel attack. And as far as I've been able to look up, Balrog was also never a champion, whereas Combo was apparently the champion from every year he's been boxing, assuming he started at age 20 at least. Balrog accidentally killed a guy, but Combo was able to kill an acid-spitting raptor. Combo needed only an eye patch after slaying a lab-created monster with teeth and claws, using only his fists. Combo is the only one between the two that has actually made boxing deadly. Balrog is also noted as not being very smart, so it's likely Combo's smarter. The few things Balrog has going for him in the fight is he would have a longer reach, and he's younger than Combo. Although Combo competes against people who use weapons, and Combo's in his mid-20s, which is hardly enough to have some kind of youth advantage against him. Lastly, Combo seems to fight in a higher league. I might be wrong with this point since Street Fighter has come a long way. The first Killer Instincts game came out on the black cartridge, so it's a pretty good chance they're trying to show off, but looking past the impressive flashing lights and colors, you still can't deny that while Balrog is losing fights against sumo wrestlers and kung fu masters, Combo is fighting an undead skeleton with a sword and shield, a dual tomahawk-wielding Native American war hero, a shape-shifting ice alien, a laser-shooting robot, the Human Torch, a werewolf, a demigod-slaying secret agent chick, the already mentioned acid-spitting raptor, a ninja, and finally, a two-headed millennium-old ogre with a club. I can't say for sure Combo fights in a higher league than Balrog, but he definitely has the more impressive resume. I was personally rooting for Balrog. He was my favorite character to use when I played Street Fighter 2 on Game Boy Advance. He's good if you don't want to bother too much with special moves, especially if you have big hands like me, playing a handheld. And I originally assumed the fight would be a much closer match. It didn't take much research before I finally began to realize Combo would simply annihilate Balrog.